Shit. We're on the wrong team. We are on the wrong. It looks like we're in a nightclub. We're in the wrong bloody camera, etc. How are we? Is the noise working okay there, JC? Hey, buddy, how you going? L49 team, Lauren. A little bit better. Does it feel like we're in a nightclub at the moment? Afternoon, Aaron Neves. Welcome to Patreon, young man. Full Metal Jacket, hey, Kaz. 2 streams, big man. I've got to give you a second chance. We just can't touch on the other subject we were speaking on. Mike Ledger, how you going, buddy? Proud Aussie. The noise is okay now. Mr. P. Guys and gals, we're not going to touch on the subject that we were talking about before because it always is subject related when the stream goes down. When people say, hey, fix the microphone, it's got nothing to do with the microphone whatsoever. I do wish at the moment that I'd rebooted things and I was up on my proper webcam, biggity webcam. At the moment, what we're doing is we're stuck on the 34-inch monitor, and this is the embedded camera. What I'm going to do is turn the light on to improve the visuals just a little bit. Nothing I can do about me face. My dad gave me this. It's still about as snowy as Ben Cousins' coffee table. Good to have you here. Madison, how you going, my friend? Welcome to the Patreon as well. And I love the picture of your dog, and I love the photo. Guys and gals, for those that were part of the photography competition via our Patreon 10th Legion, which is now up to 110 people, fantastic. I look forward to seeing how everyone votes on the photos. There is definitely an arc of, what do you call it? Photography seriousness that was taken for this competition, but the prize is a Fitbit, top of the range Fitbit for the person who wins. If I win, I'm not sure whether to keep it or whether to pass it on because you're the guys that are going to be doing the voting. And we've got a couple of novelty ones in there that I won't tell you is from Dave D. Our resident photographer, Grumpy Digger, didn't put an entry in. This was his chance to shine, but he forgot to put it in. Guys and gals, there is something I want to do for JC here, and thank you very much, JC, for letting me know that the sound was whoop, whoop, like a cabin boy, buggered. There's something that came up today on the TV, and I would like to give a 10-second silence to, and that is to the lovely Hannah Clark. And her kids. This really hit my heart because this little girl's name is the same as my daughter's, and that was Aaliyah, Lena, and Trey. And they are the children and the mother, Hannah, that lost their lives to the domestic violence incident the other day with that gentleman that took out his family. It was very tragic. It shows what happens when something breaks the track, and devastation, tragedy has been met on so many, and it looks like a beautiful family was taken. So for 10 seconds, in respect to JC, I'm not sure what your connection was, mate, or whether it was something that just touched you. I'd just like to say to Hannah and her children and the families and all those in their area of influence, just 10 seconds silence for that lovely family from Australia. So if you want to join me, a thumbs up will also indicate that you acknowledge their loss. Rest in peace, please, lovely family. Okay, life is never promised you a good time. The journey you make is the journey that you make for yourself. You can choose to do nothing, and life is not going to bring you reward. You need to be able to get outdoors. You need to be able to get dirty. You need to take a chance. You need to, who dares wins. You don't have to take risks, but you do have to live. And if you don't, everything we have is a limited edition. And Mr. P will let you know that the first 10 years of your life are definitely going to be getting taken for granted, but I bet the last 10 days aren't. So treat every day like it's a special gift. Wring its neck, have your rest when you can. But just remember that we're not here forever and no one has a sequel. Alison, there's no sequels. Grumpy Digger. Nick Scanlon, I had my U session on the 18th of March. So this month, any tips? U session on, just watch the video, Nick. Watch the video. I've made a video all about it and the assessment session and the PFA, infantry, etc. The next videos are going to come off the conveyor belt, so to speak. It's going to be one that's dedicated to the families, to those that are in the background of the serving member, so they understand the advice that I would give to them, that I've given to families in the past, to advice that I was given, didn't take, and regretted when I was in the shoes of someone that should have had, with ears this big, been listening. G'day, Kane. How you going? 157. Represent Alex Ellery. Here you go, mate. Got enlistment for Cav in September. So there you go, team. That is proof. It's a long way away. It won't feel like it to Alex. That Cav is still open. There is still people that are going into infantry. There is just a conveyor belt that is moving very slow, and there's a back order. Did anyone see that fantastic fight between the female fighters in the UFC? Apparently, it's going down as a one of the Hall of Fame fights. Joshua Goodwin, good to have you here, mate. We've got Eric there, Eric Schneider. We've got Brady Carr. We've got M18A1, which is the Claymore. 700 balls of versatility, of lethality right there. Ben Turner, g'day, buddy. Grid. We've got Proud Aussie. So where's your mask? I will not be wearing a Bane mask. My job is to stay on the Titanic, because I'm a big believer. If you stay on the Titanic, you get to choose one other person who has to stay with you. Wouldn't that be a good one? Yep, I'll stay on here. It was epic, says Aaron Dixon. Aaron, would you like a quick conversation, sir? Why don't you join me on here? We're not going to talk necessarily about the subject we were talking about before, because at the moment, what happened was we got kiboshed from the internet. This is probably the worst looking production I've ever seen on one of my videos as far as the picture, etc. But there's not much we can do about it, shy of restarting this stream.
DC.
Aaron, the Hitman Dixon.
I'm going to swear a lot, mate. Fuck them and fuck their bullshit. I don't care if this shit gets cut.
This is what's happened.
Fuck them, man. I was listening to that and that all went fuzzy real quick.
This is what
fuck them, fuck their bullshit. I don't care.
This is what happens every time Aaron Dixon has a mid-strength beer.
Bullshit. Hey, going, big fella, good?
Yeah, good, mate, good. You know, sorry about the picture, mate.
No, mate, it's beautiful.
We're going back to the 40s. No,
I can't
actually.
believe that. There's no way. There's no way that got fuzz, man. Are you kidding me?
I'm telling you now.
It makes me angry, eh? That is bullshit. The
subject we have determines what happens. People think it's a microphone. Simon Powell, Rafi, he thought that, oh, do you want me to come over and help you with the technical stuff? I go, mate, it's got nothing to do with my equipment. It's got to do with the subject we speak on. Yeah.
Yeah, wow. That'll do, mate.
Or a UDL, says JC. Mate, being in Western Sydney, we're going to always see the worst of humanity sort of stuff, because what you're seeing is the outliers of the crowd, so to speak, those that weren't allowed to get into the club. So when they go off the reservation, they really go off the reservation, and I'm not talking about Elizabeth Warren. We've got Simon Pally there. He says, g'day to Aaron Dixon. I don't know if you knew each other. We've got
Simon. G'day, mate. How you going, big fella? Hope all is well.
Heyman reckons he's importing a container of TP from NZ. going to sell them for good profit. Anyone want to buy it? Be careful, Mr. Heyman, because remember the conversation that happened between Jacinda Ardern and ScoMo the other day, where she was angry that we're sending New Zealand's criminals back to them. You don't want to become one of those and get a freaking tiki to a home.
Yeah, there's a bit of blindside going on there, wasn't it? Yeah.
Picture's all good on CoronaTube. There you go, Leo. Thanks, mate. And Nutsu Cow. Mate, I wanted to say to the poor cousin, you know, New Zealand, that was pretty ripe to say to Australia, don't send our criminals home.
Don't send their own back. Is that what you're trying to imply? Give me a break. As if what all these nice people, these nice criminals that come over to Australia from New Zealand, what they're all doing the right thing? Fuck off.
Look,
what a lot of shit.
Anyone that just keep it family friendly there, AD.
I can't, mate. I'm amped.
He's Irish. You know what happened? He's been watching some Conor McGregor videos. He's getting excited. And I tell you, if you want to get excited about something, the Tony Ferguson and Khabib fight is going to be a massive one.
Yeah, that'll be a big fight for sure.
I predict that that's going to be over in a Zyrtec because they're both awesome. I sort of hope Khabib beats him because Tony's coming across like a real dick.
Yeah. I haven't seen any of the lead up to it, but I will say this. My
Matty, how you going?
I think if Conor ever gets another crack at Khabib, right, and Conor beats Khabib, for me, that makes him in the greatest of all time league.
Yeah.
If he can come back from that kind of adversity and come back and beat someone of that level, who is basically undefeated in the UFC, which at that kind of level is just unheard of. If he can come back and beat someone of that level, and even possibly knock him out, and I've said this in other forums. For me, that makes him in the top, well, one of the greatest of all UFC fighters of all time.
I totally agree. And if you can say that Khabib is the best pound-for-pound fighter that there is in the UFC and you beat him, well, how do you become a champion? It's by beating a champion. And I would say absolutely Conor McGregor, bam. But he has got some tough boys that in between him now that he's going to have to work through now, and that could soften him up. 2 seconds. Matty Dowsett, Nutsu Cow, thank you for the colour there, mate. And do you have a question? Let us know in comments below.
Hey, Dean, on a side note, sorry to cut you off. Have you listened to any of the podcasts with Mike Tyson called Hot Boxing?
I don't know. I've definitely heard of it.
I've just started listening to it. It is one of the greatest podcasts. I don't know if any of the listeners out there have listened to it. But it's on, there's a Joe Rogan.
Yeah, I have actually.
There's a Joe Rogan app you can download, and it sort of lets you upload and download any podcast that's basically available throughout the world. It's called Hot Boxing with another fella who was an ex-NFL player. And it is an absolutely fantastic podcast. It's one of the best podcasts I've ever listened to. It's amazing.
Who was that with Mike Tyson?
He's in everyone, so it's him and some other fella. I can't remember the other guy's name, but he's an ex-NFL player, retired, and they just basically talk about boxing. They talk about life in general, but just listening to Mike Tyson blows my mind how much that man has changed. He's like the black version of Mahatma Gandhi.
I believe that
it's crazy.
I believe that Mike Tyson could go back to actually who he is and what he is, like a Zyrtec. So never think, 100%. Never think you can walk up and give him a smack on the back of the head and go, I remember when you were awesome and scary. He'll be awesome and scary pretty quickly. We've got just a couple of things here.
One thing a boxer never loses.
What's that?
Power. He may lose speed. He may lose agility. He may lose a whole heap of things first, but he will never lose power. That man would knock any. You know what? I reckon if he got fit, I swear to God, and I've seen this in many forums, if he got fit, Tyson, and jumped in with Wilder right now, I reckon he would still clip him and still have a chance to knock him out.
What about Evander Holyfield if he had to fight him a third time?
Oh, but he's old now too, so I don't know. Yeah. He's got a chance, 100%. 100%. But I reckon I reckon he could still, if he got fit, proper fit, give him a couple of rounds, I reckon he would still have a chance to knock out Wilder today without question.
Yeah, maybe. Punch his chance. Yeah, for sure. He's sort of kept up to date. Catonius had a good observation there. Catonius, one of my favourite people in the world. I think I've had to replace someone who would have been a buddy in my military life. If I had to play someone out, I'd bring Catonius in. He looks like he's from the First Fleet, because of his hair. But he's a great dude, a fun dude, and I felt happy being around you. And I totally agree with you. If Ferguson was not just trying to ramp up this fight, and I'm sorry for those that aren't UFC fight fanatics here, when Khabib kicked his belt, that should have been enough to throw down. It wasn't, which meant that Ferguson is just trying to get that, scratch. Same deal when they started talking about in the press conference, they started talking about street fighting, and he got completely called out. And then his heritage as a Mexican got laughed at because he was from Minnesota, I believe it was. And he said, well, because he keeps going on about his Mexican heritage and street fighting. He said, when was the last time you were in a street fight? He couldn't remember. And then he goes, oh, well, it was one punch. I knocked him out. And you're going, that's fake news. All right. but the real deal is Khabib. He is the real deal. When Dagger is part of the name of the town you come from, it's, Hey, Fox, how you going, bro?
Did you see any of the footage, Dean, recently of Khabib wrestling the same weight class? It was the number one junior or high school. I think it's their high school version of their top wrestler, same weight class. And obviously it would have been great for the young bloke. I can't remember the fella's name for the life of me, but
did he
it's on
beat
YouTube if you want to check it out.
Did he make Tony Tap?
Khabib just schools him.
Oh, okay, yeah. Oh, well, if you say you're going to fight, you got to learn the hard way.
Yeah, it would have been an experience for the young fella, I'm sure.
Okay, I'm just got a quick one here for you, mate. Naturally, Aaron has had a background in infantry with Nutsu Kao, boom, the White Warrior. Okay, and that was over in East Timor, one of the hottest places on earth, and what we were wearing, absolutely, in these spit-proof vests that weren't bulletproof at all. It was just designed to cause casualties. It was like someone being in Iran, licking that statue and saying that their God is going to save them, and that apparently hasn't worked for those that did it. It was so goddamn hot. It was so bad. And then Aaron went from infantry over to transport, but then transport was in air dispatch, which meant he worked more often than not in the Air Force as like a doggy with the underslung supplies to you tell them yourself.
Yeah. Well, actually, to be honest with you, I actually got posted to a RAFI unit wholly and solely under the command of a RAFI CO. So that did happen. So, yeah, half of our trade it's like that link between the Air Force and the Army, basically. So you have a lot of, blue-collar sort of hotel rooms. I basically traded a hoochie for a hotel room. There's nothing wrong with that. I was pretty comfortable. I'd done the hard yards, so I thought I was entitled to it. But, it's that link. It was just that link between Army and RAF. And I guess between the three major roles, you need to have some link in there, in order to make the whole military a working force, So we're that link between Army and the RAF, and even the Navy as well in a termite sort of role. That it's sort of like a multi-facet kind of all military encompassing type role. So, but I enjoyed it. It was good. I think it was about 14 years or I can't remember.
Well, JC reckons all the good-looking RAFies were in 38-2 ECSS. I'm not even sure what that is.
But that sounds like a whole bunch of
It sounds like you're. It sounds like
to the ANTDU, which is the Jesus Christ, I can't remember the air movements transport.
It sounds like you. It sounds like you're out of names. You're out of names, so RAF makes shit up.
Look, it was fun. I enjoyed it. Like it was different. It was very, very, very different from infantry. But I thoroughly enjoyed it. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been there for about 13 or 14 years. So
here's a point from Simon Butt. Simon Powell, Air Force.
Yep.
Simon says Air Force treat their people right. It's because they know they're never going to be in danger. Aircon, quick to the aircon vehicle. Back to the aircon. Steaks while they're outfield. Movie screens. I remember being in the same area as them. When I remember coming back to East Timor, coming back to the airfield, and I was almost suffered frostbite from someone walking past of how cold the Coke was in their hand. and and I hadn't been near anything that was under 40 degrees since I could remember. I hadn't had a shower in like 6 weeks.
Yeah,
and I remember going, is that a real Coca-Cola? Could we have one? And they're like,
I remember that day.
Nah, mate.
That day. It's one of the greatest memories of my life.
Nah, mate, only got a carton left. There was people in the Air Force getting Kentucky Fried Chicken flown into country.
It's disgusting.
When we hadn't had a meal in 6 weeks other than ration pack.
I love Kentucky so much too. It's ridiculous.
Stephen Senegal, where'd you get that 75th banner? I actually got that 75th banner, the Ranger Regiment banner back there, the blanket, the limited edition blanket, and that actually came from the Ranger himself. And that Ranger was Mike Elliott. No, it wasn't Mike Elliott. That one was from Josh Hostinger. He's one of the E7s, E8s that's over with the regiment now. Yeah.
Yeah, nice.
And where is it? We've got the banner over there of Mike Elliott, the Ranger, which is over there on the background. And beneath that, you've got a poker set that is from Julian Chavez. So they're all equivalent to CSMs and RSMs, regimental sergeant majors, company sergeant majors, etc., in the Ranger battalions, not within the Ranger regiments. Okay. And I believe they're all still currently serving now. JC, I was in 2 rocket attacks in Afghanistan. First one hit the bunker I was in.
Yeah, right.
They couldn't hit JC with it because he was a Kiwi. That would have made it racist.
Yeah,
so they just tried to scare you. Boydie's here. G'day, buddy. How you going? Matty Dowsett. Neville. Yeah, mate, they are, but I know of people who had their waiver sent on in January and they have already heard back. There's no rhyme or reason to the way it goes because in Australia, you are getting administered by an office. All of you have a different office. And there is a bell curve of competence that is in each one of those offices. So you might be getting looked after by someone who's awesome, or someone who is there for the coffee that's just treading water. Okay, yeah, sure, it's the wrong place to be if that's what you're doing, but it might be a respite posting instead of going to the School of Infantry or Kapooka as a boot camp instructor. JC, I was in my undies. That thing woke me up. That's better than hearing it coming in, but isn't it, mate? You know? Misty Ninja, how we going? Yeah, we're good, mate. We're good. This is our second hit out today. You can see by the thread bow. You can see by the Everest base camp at the moment that I'm not on the main camera. So consider this, even if you want to sit back a bit, close your eyes, have a little bit of a siesta while you're having a Corona, so to speak, and treat it like a podcast with Aaron, the Hitman Dixon, and Hot Aussie Kaz, which was my first ever Hotmail email. We've just had a completion of our Patreon, and we've just had a promotion of Fugly, all right, and Gina as a moderator to our channel as well, which means we have to strip someone of their title, so to speak, and that's going to be Paulie. One, he's never here, and two, when he does come back, it'll be a battle of the short time because he's too busy watching Married at First Sight. And when he comes back, he wants to be a participant rather than an administrator. So that's all good. Respect his wishes. We're about to put a video out in the next few days of the photography challenge. Now, as we said, there is a bell curve of ability at the moment. One of the things we're going to do is we're going to continue that at this stage as a monthly incentive for people to get off their clacker, not the 57 clacker, which is the M57, which is attached to the blast cap assembly, the M40 as well, which makes up for the Claymore, the M18A1, right, the most reliable anti-personnel device that we've had since Vietnam. And what that's going to do is we're also going to show you through techniques with the iPhones, or I've got the iPhone here, I've got the Bat phone here, join Patreon now, the link's not below. and we'll show you how to improve your game with photography. Photography is one of those things you can do by yourself. We can teach you how to take photography of yourself in a beautiful location, so there is some memories to pass on to your children or to someone else's children or your Tinder account when it comes time to do so. But there's nothing better than having a few photos to represent a weekend that has been life lived. Aaron, now we had a question before that was, what is the next adventure that Aaron Dixon and Kaz is going on? I'm here to let you know what it is. Okay, what's going to happen is I'm going to probably go, I've got a cornhole of all places when there's no toilet paper available. I'm going for a cornhole example, so the code word for cancer, which is also a star sign for some that believe in the moon. So what's going to, okay, Madison County, have a good night, my dear. And thank you for everything you did with the photography as well. I love your dog doing everything to get away from you as it runs down the rocks into the ocean, trying to migrate back to somewhere. So what we're going to do is, I've got that recon on my LP tomorrow. And when that's done, what I'm looking at doing is driving out to the Penrith, the Western Sydney RSPCA, because I can't think of too many people that are more deserving than those that do volunteer work for animals, so to speak, which consistently touches the hearts of most people who tend to like animals a little bit more than people. So what I'm looking at doing is going out there, talking to one of the managers, understanding that it'll probably be what are the chances that the person most deserving won't be there. And then from there, I'll speak to the managers there, the people that run the RSPCA, and ask them who is their most deserving recipient, volunteer worker that really deserves that that gift. And that gift is going to be a iPhone watch. Okay, so an Apple iPhone watch, and we'll get them. They're about $600 or $700. And that'll be a reminder on their wrist that someone that doesn't know them has sought them out and identified what they do and appreciates and is rewarding them for their actions on your behalf. And I'll catch that on film when I've got the camera guy with me. So are you happy with that, Aaron?
Mate, 100%.
Yep, you got no problem with supporting someone who supports animals, injured animals?
Mate, no dramas at all. Did you say, what day is this Tuesday? What day is this?
Tomorrow is Tuesday. So I'm going to go and check that out. But then as soon as you have your nearest day, then I'll already know the name and all that sort of stuff. And then it will go out there and we'll make that presentation, yeah?
Yeah, that sounds fantastic, mate. Yeah, 100% up for that.
Okay, I'm going to skate back into this subject. We've got Dylan Casey here. Hey, Casey, do you think that the coronavirus is going to cause a post-apocalypse? I'm just watching at the moment. We're at the 28-minute mark. We've got absolutely no dramas with sound, audio. But what we have had was a failed stream, the one straight before this, because we talked on this subject. So, Dylan, if it shuts down, this is a little bit of evidence towards that. All right.
Yeah, definitely concrete if it shuts down.
I think the fact that we now have nearly all the countries in the world and all the Western countries are all been infected by coronavirus with absolute explosions. What they could talk about on Peak Prosperity, which is the Corona channel, if you want to go to it, Peak Prosperity, it gives a daily briefing, very, very, very in-depth from every country, all the new cases, what this means to you. And one of the things they speak about is that normally what happens in a country that underplays what's happening with coronavirus is then they'll have a case, then a case, then a case, then a cluster, then boom. And then it's, oh, shit, now it's on our doorstep. And that has been happening in a lot of countries. Yeah, it's happening in a lot of countries. But regardless of that occurring, what we're seeing is what happens when the wolf gets inside the gate and the sheep can smell the wolf. You know, where we're seeing normal non-combatants, where we see people that might be potentially quite vulnerable to mental trauma, to people that are catastrophizing, people with any given personality either disorder or maybe even, I don't know, a panicking sort of person where they are going off tap. And what that creates is the sky is falling sort of phenomenon, which then has a flow-on effect, i.e. one person from a school had coronavirus. Now the entire school doesn't go to school. Today, another 2 schools had kids there, and now 2 other schools. When does the police actually get taken over and this become martial, where military starts to take over from police or combined with police? When do nurses, when do doctors get told, you don't go home tonight, you're staying here indefinitely? When does a hospital, a major hospital, have an entire wing shut down? When do army bases become the staging area, which is already happening overseas at the moment, for casualties?
Yeah.
At what stage does someone who has some sort of triage get tossed up? What's more important, you or someone with coronavirus? It is absolutely able to grow legs, and like a fire, if you stamp on it, and then the embers can then each catch onto something and make the problem bigger and bigger and bigger. And around each one of those problems is a perception. Perception is reality, which means the person that has the perception, to them, it's real. And the panic begins. Now, Fletch, thank you very much. Holla, family. Not too cow. You don't have to be with the thank you very much for the what do you call it, donations. You don't have to donate money, team. It's all good. It'll go towards a good cause. But thank you very, very much, and it is very much appreciated there, Senior Fletch. What we can see is the complete landscape. Gordon and Sandy, you haven't seen you for like, g'day, Kaz. I'm looking at transferring from reserves to full-time. Which battalion do you reckon the best? 2RR is looking really appealing with the amphibious kit. Ask Sandy where she wants to go, mate, and then there's a chance that your relationship will go well and you'll be happy everywhere. But, you know, the answer is Townsville, naturally. What we can see at the moment is the potential for borders to start to harden, where people start to become less, almost racist, where as a survival mechanism, we start to go in-house and only be around our own, where we become more skeptical of others, where we become more selfish, where we see the worst of humanity come out, and it may be in an area where there's absolutely no coronavirus.
Don't you reckon they should have closed the borders completely?
No one knew it was going to be this big. If you had have said to someone in December that by the 10th of March, here's a photo of Shanghai, or here's a photo of 1.3 billion people in bloody quarantine in China who are disregarding their economy, taking the big risk, you know, they would have said to you, there's no way. This is fake news. This is photoshopped. And you're going, yeah, actually, it's not, mate. And for years we've been talking, imagine what's going to happen one day when nature decides, how about we right the wrongs? How about we do a little bit of a backburn? You know, people are saying, oh, yeah, but it's only coronavirus. It's not as deadly as. Just remember this. If this pandemic spreads, explodes in all these different areas, all these people that say it's not a big deal, well, it seems to be breaking containment every single place it goes to. It has the potential to take off the bottom and the top as of our population. You know, absolutely devastating if it gets out of control. And if it means that everywhere's empty, everyone's at home like China, where petrol stations aren't necessarily operating, where the closer you are to the center of a city, the more danger you potentially are, because that is going to be where, well, where's the food? As long as the water keeps going and the electricity, you're sort of okay because you can survive for a long time. But no one knows how long these curfews go for. Now, we're still in uncharted territory. No one knows how long this is going to go for. They're trying to not spook the crowd, while at the same time they're trying to tell you to get more damn ready. They expect implied tasks, don't they, Aaron?
Have you seen any of, I don't know if some of the viewers might follow, I think his name's Giorgio Ramirez, or Romeus, or his name is.
Oh, he sounds like a serial killer.
Passionate videos.
Zukami?
Sorry?
Zukami is here. G'day, mate. Sounds very Japanese, sir. Cotoneous Verde, green. Lauren only knows Spanish from Dora. Okay, sorry, mate. Listo,
No, you're right.
which means ready.
No, you're right. So George, he's a pretty passionate bloke, and he does a lot of videos, and he puts them out on YouTube, and you see him on Facebook if you follow him or whatever. And he was watching, I didn't see it, but he watched the story on 60 Minutes on Sunday. This past, I don't know if anyone saw that. Did you see that thing?
No.
So, I don't know, it was some story about, coronavirus, and it's actually quite a funny video. So if you do see it, have a look on his, I think it's Giorgio Ramirez or Romeos or whatever his name is. He's a very funny bloke, very passionate. And it just made me laugh because, just like you got to put things in perspective too. Like, and I know what you're saying. Like, I get it. Like, this is it's pretty momentous. It's pretty, as you say, we're in uncharted borders. This is a system that's designed to fail, basically, because we see people buying ridiculous amounts of toilet paper. For what reason? Like, they actually don't even know why they're even buying it. I don't get it.
Well,
I don't have the answers for it.
I said this.
But then it has a flow-on effect. Apparently now people in the United States are doing the same thing. Then now you go down to Coles and Woolies, and we're missing all our flour, we're missing all our pasta, all the food sources that will, have longevity and last a year. But why? 2
seconds, mate. Ping has just asked it. He's just said to us, "What's up? Long-time listener, first-time caller. Nutsu Cow, thank you for having me here, mate. Make sure you put a question down here. I've been watching this guy for a while now. Need some advice. Let us know what it is, and we'll send it to you right now. Put the question down there, mate. Mate, I see this as the coronavirus situation that's happening at the moment is like a massive night out on the piss. There's going to be casualties, and there's going to be people that embarrass themselves. And then when it's all over, when it's all done, we don't know how long that timeline's going to be. It might be 6 months. It might be a year. It might be 10 years. This might change the landscape. We don't know. But there's going to be people that go, "Oh, Aaron, I'm sort of sorry that I hit you in the back of the head because I didn't want you to take one of my 700 toilet rolls." Today, I had I had 3 containers of arse wipes, scented, and they took up an area like this, because there was no toilet paper, none, and the receipt wasn't going to last long. I wish I had a bidet, but I'd never get off it, and I'd read the Iliad just to stay on there. I love the bidet. There's something gay, but it feels great. But what was I going to say? Oh shit! Yeah, and I get to the counter, and it was like she wanted to embarrass me and go, "Yeah, aisle 3, we've got a hoarder," and she waits until I've got my card, my camo card out, which tells you that I'm a soldier, and she's like, "Only one." So she actually took the other 2 out of my hand and said, "Off you go," like a soup Nazi kicking my ass. And I was looked around, and people were in line like they didn't want to get in trouble. And that made me look at the video of the fight that happened in Western Sydney. That I don't care what colour someone is, but I've got to say this to describe because I don't know a name. But when that black lady went over those 2 other national ladies, wherever they were from, they had like 100 shithouse rolls in their trolley, and all she wanted, and there was clearly none left in the aisle. They had them all, and she probably just wanted to wipe her big McDonald's eating ass with some of that paper, and they've said no to her, and so she grabbed a bag, and then they attacked her, and then it went crazy from there, and then none of them got any, none of them. As
I said to you, it's like the other analogy is, as I said about the LA riots. It just took one dude to bring down an entire city. Aussie's like, "Yeah, you know what? Fuck this. We've had enough. We're done. Let's just bring the whole place down.
Burn it down. If I can't have that toilet roll, no one's getting it."
That's it. And that seems to be like mankind just wants to, if they can't have their own way, they just want to, I wouldn't even be surprised if someone kills someone over a roll of toilet paper. if they can't get it.
Or
That's the
killed
way it
them.
seems to be at the moment.
Killed them with the roll of toilet paper. That's MacGyver right there.
Didn't someone pull a knife? Didn't someone pull a knife in one of the aisles because they weren't getting the toilet paper?
They'll probably, you'd say that I was going to share. I was going to give you half. We've got Zachy Bear here who's saying he's 23 years old. They'd go into the U session next year. Okay, so there's no hurry. And I'm currently working to get myself up to physical and mental standard. Don't wait too long. You should be almost ready if this is your dream job, mate. Any advice for someone looking to become a combat engineer? Join the army. That's it. Sorry, just treat it like a fight camp. That's it. I've got the U session, assessment session, PFA session. Just watch those videos, and then from there, ask again, and I'll give you the answer, mate. We've got P1 has had a drama with his application because he's delayed because of his grades, etc. That they weren't up to standard. Well, mate, that is an unfortunate thing. Your first mission to go to military is to get a pass in English and maths, and they make that fairly clear. Go on the ADF app. It'll let you know what you need to do. There will be a TAFE. I believe there is a TAFE equivalency course that you can do, which will prepare you for that. And they'll tell you come back when you have that. There's no point in going back until you have it. They have to have a minimum standard. And unfortunately, that minimum standard doesn't go to everyone because of affirmative action, which I won't get into in this stream because it'll make me angry. Josh Hudson, go, buddy. How you going? Not too cow. Team, you're going too crazy. We don't need to see yellow. If you're ever going to make a donation, keep it green or keep it blue, but I appreciate it all. And all of it goes towards something very special. And not to this guy. So thank you very much. Awesome. What can we do for you, Josh? You should do anything to join. Yeah, that's it. Look, when I joined the military, that was nearly 30 years ago, and I was in for 24 years. So it was about 20. I was in Army Reserve for 2 years before that. So 26. It was 30 years ago. Yeah. When we joined, we didn't have any knowledge whatsoever about the military. You didn't know how fit you had to be. You didn't know how to get to where you went. All you do is be the very best at everything that you can possibly be. You versus you. Use other people to get better at running. Use other people to get better at push-ups. Know when to shut your mouth. Pass in English and maths. Let your actions make you visibly the best possible candidate, and you'll still get there. Let people know if you want to go to Turia, keep saying Turia. I want to go to Turia. If you want to go to engineers, let them know I want to go to engineers, and this is why. And then just be as fit as you possibly can. You can never be too fit. You can never be too educated, because people don't join the military because they're settling with it. They're all volunteers. They've always been the volunteers.
Hey, Jim, what did you join?
Sorry?
Why did you join?
I was born on Anzac Day.
Yeah.
My dad was in the army my entire life, up until that period of time. The only thing I'd played with is toy soldiers. I loved history. The only time I ever felt confused was when I started to get about 13 years old, and instead of toy soldiers, I bought cowboys and Indians. And if you look at them closely like that, it looked like men and women, and the women didn't have tops on. And when you start making the cowboy and the Indian, boyfriend and girlfriend, I went back to being a soldier and decided, all right, I'm not going to join the Navy. And I was just lucky that all the hurdles, except for my urine test, went like that. And before I knew it, I was in the army getting told you're going to get bashed. Dave D, what was the movie where Army swore at the machine to get fines to use as poo tickets? I'm not sure. What's DDG? DDG. Watch some streams, but new to the chat. Hey, can we get some thumbs up to DDG? Not too cow, the White Warrior says. Some streams, but new to the chat. Keep it up. You're doing something great here. Nailed my U session last week. So wish me luck from now. The assessment session, DDG, is the easiest bit. The scary thing about the assessment session is there can be surprises that you don't anticipate, whether that be something medical, whether you be a psycho and didn't know it and they see it, whether someone is ill-prepared or whatever. But even then they're going to go, okay, go away for this long and then come back again. or it might be they should give you an understanding of exactly why you failed. And some of our subscribers that have told us about not being successful in the application process, you think, how honest was recruiting with you? It doesn't sound like some people are getting told the truth. And there should be no lack of moral courage from those people that are inside defense recruiting to tell someone straight down the barrel, never reapply, because it's not fair to let someone, get a wrong idea and then keep tailing on. They're better off to say, man, you are never going to get in. And I'll tell you why. There's nothing you can do about it. Wait till another lifetime. We've got, I haven't even seen these badges before. Madison, thank you very much. Nutsukau, the White Warrior Et. Okay, Madison is one of our lovely subscribers. She's also a loyal Patreon member, and she loves dogs and photography. And I think she was going for a run when she took the photo. We've got P1. I did get pass in maths and English. Okay, but they aren't standard maths and English. It was of a pre-trade course, so they won't accept them. Because when you go for a trade, I don't know if you know this, Aaron, you need to pass 4 subjects as well: English, maths, science, and I believe a 4th miscellaneous subject, which you need to be able to do.
The exact qualifications, but I do believe when it comes to trades and more technical aspects of, or just like because after military life, obviously you can go on, not bigger and better things, not the right word, but obviously you then go on Civvy Street, and so they're a little bit more technical than just your average bear bum in the share, I suppose. You do need to have a higher maths and a higher English.
Mathematics is a problem-solving capability, isn't it? Now, also people.
Truth, I was not until this day. I'm still not very strong at mathematics, but I wasn't very strong on all of those subjects, but I still got through. So
you know what, Aaron, you've bought your house on renting, so you're doing all right.
Yeah, that's right.
P1, I'd say to you, maybe go and do another subject. Another way to get around the wagon is go to another subject, another corps within Army, and do your first 4 years there. Corps transfer straight across to engineers, and then get your trade like that. Apples. Yep, you'd be laughing. Straight across. Sir Buzzkill, how's that for a name? That sounds like a pessimist. Hey, Kaz, how often do combat engineers get attached to infantry units? Almost not at all, mate. Very, very, very rarely, and it'll be mission orientated, and I'll explain why. The engineers are a commander's asset, and that means a lieutenant colonel's asset. So what happens is when there is an infantry unit, and we're in companies, Alpha Company, Bravo Company, Charlie, and Delta, when we've got the full accompaniment, what happens is before we go on a mission, we might say that we have a risk to plan, and a mitigation for that is that we need artillery. Do we have any available? Which means MFCs, which means we're going to have forward observers, all that sort of shit get attached to us. It could be engineers. We need route clearance because there is a D-file requirement where we need to do route clearance and need some mine search, some EOD guys with us, etc. It could be engineers for searching vehicles at a VCP, a personnel checkpoint, or a mixed one, whatever. So all of those people, it was always mission related. There is no standard coffee with 2 sugars, white with 2. When you're called for, you go there. Okay. But as a gig, normally they will use their own field troop to give its protection to itself while they're actually conducting an activity on the ground, whether that be a tactical obstacle, whether it be reconstruction, whether it be route clearance or route denial. So it goes from there. Lauren, thanks for the stream, Kaz. No worries, Lauren. Thank you for being here. You're always here. It's fantastic. That's why you're Lady in Blue. New South Wales supporter right there. Brady, bye, Lauren. Oh, Lauren's out. Did the bath water get cold? Oh, she in the bath, was she? You there, Aaron?
Yeah, I was sorry, mate. I was just I've just gone back to look at the comments because I was actually just talking to you without seeing any screenshots at all. I thought, I wonder if I go back into the live feed, can I see it? But I actually can't see the live feed, but I can see the messages now popping up live. So I apologise to anyone that has made any comments. I'm just actually looking at them right now. So sorry about that, guys. It's all brand new to me, this technology.
That's all right, mate. It's always good to have a few people here. And the good thing is we've got Aaron Dixon here on the red phone, bam, the Catonius phone, we might call it from now on. And what we've got over here is the bat phone. So that means we can have a Patreon member and we can have a In the Trenches with Kaz member, at any one time, put them together, where's Wally? And we can have potentially 3 people talking at the same time with just rules for how to converse without talking over each other, being respectful, answering your questions, where there's the chance for you to actually say, my question is to Mr. Buckaroony. My question is to Aaron Dixon. My question is to In the Trenches with Kaz, in Kaz's Trench. Josh Hudson, Kaz, North Raquel. I'm looking to join ADFA. Is there anything else I need to work on? Have that you don't cover here or in your videos? Look, we need to do one on officers. We do, but what I do and what Aaron, also advises me is do not get outside my area of expertise, my bubble, so to speak. Although I have been an instructor for leadership and tactics for officers, infantry officers on their shit.
What was that? Whoa.
For their junior leader training center, for their the officers ROBC. Officers, Regimental Officers Basic Course. Yeah, anyway, for their IET training after RMC. Basically, when you go for ADFA, because I don't believe in ADFA at all. I don't believe in that university degree shit, because if it was so important, they'd make everyone that goes to RMC do that. It's not. I don't know what happened there. Was it a way of educating British kids and giving them free education when it first commenced? I don't know. They've even had the commandant of old ADFA stand up and be on 60 Minutes and go, I don't even know why we do it. We just do it. And most of their dramas that happen there. And then there's infighting like Democrats and Republicans between the ADFA graduates and the RMC graduates, so they call the bakers. When you go there, all I'd say to anyone like Josh that wants to go to ADFA is to make sure that the university degree that you go for is something that's going to enhance your military career, because you should always base, when you join the military, that you're there for 40 years. Otherwise, you will join something with this thought process that I'm only here for a short time before I get ready for that. But then you meet the people, you do the training, and you go, you know what? I want to do this forever. But now I'm stuck with this. If you're going to do an arts degree at ADFA and you do it on history, that'd be amazing. That's going to inspire you to be that leader, to have that tactical acumen that's going to assist you throughout your training on making you understand exactly who you are and why you are there. But people do other degrees and shit. It just doesn't make sense at all and doesn't help their career at all. And then they go and do their RMC time, and then they go and do their battalion, troop time, etc. And then their university degree, if they haven't kept it up, is invalid anyway, because it's not future-proof. You can't just not study and still have it 6-8 years later. Dave D says ROBC. Yep, there we go. Hector Kaz, how I said I don't have leadership experience for my OSB? I had to think, and I play halfback in footy. And if you're a shot caller, man, there's nothing wrong with that. Kaz, you're still here. Madison's still here. Madison, can you chat after the stream, Kaz? Well, I can tomorrow because I've still got to ring my family and say good night to them and to little one as well. Sorry, mate. Can we lock that in tomorrow, Madison? Is that okay? Please. Yeah. What are you doing there?
Dean, not to be rude, mate. Unfortunately, I've got to go, mate, because I've got family members starting to go to bed themselves. But
yep.
I'd just like to say thanks, mate, for having me on tonight, and a big thank you to all the people that said good day to me on the chat forum. And it's great to see you on here, and it's great to see you all supporting Kaz's channel, and hopefully in the future we'll have a few more vids of me and Kaz, and doing a few things for you guys and a few other people out in Civvy Street, and just having a good time. So thanks very much, and cheers, Kaz, and thanks for having me on, man. I really appreciate it.
Aaron, 2 seconds. Just quickly let them know what your plan is for Kaz and yourself and other veteran community.
Okay, so basically me and Kaz haven't had a real proper sit down, but I've mentioned it to him. So the plan for us in the next 12 months max in time frame is to start a podcast. Now, this podcast is separate from Kaz's channel, and it'll be a combination of me and Kaz and our ideas and trying to get people from all facets of life, from all around Australia, and some of our contacts that we've made throughout our lives. And I just believe that there's room for a channel out there or a podcast that basically doesn't really, well, I don't see any channel that exists at the moment in that kind of forum where we can talk about things, level that we talk about on general day-to-day basis. So if you guys can think of any names to do with the podcast, it'd be great. And me and Kaz are going to sit down and have a serious chat and try and get something together for you guys and the greater community Australia-wide. So that's going to be in the talks for the next, certainly the next couple of weeks for me and Kaz, and certainly it's going to be something that we'll try and make it happen for you guys for sure. So
well,
that's the future for us.
One of the things you tapped onto there before you go, which makes it so important there, Aaron, is our age, our background and experience, and the fact that we want to help people. Now, there is a real shortage of Australian content creators as it is. There is also a real shortage of people. People ask, what do I do as someone who is diagnosed with PTSD from the military? What do you do? And I see this as public speaking. We normally end up with 1,000+ people watching each one of these videos. Thank you very much. It's snowy because it went down, and this is our second effort for the night. But you never know, out of the 1,000 people, how many of those people where you filled a space that they just needed to get that little bit of advice that gets ticked off, to give someone not something to listen to, but give them somewhere to be, a community where they feel like they're not invisible. Sorry for anyone that we haven't got back to tonight in comments, but we're Australian servicemen. We are dads. We compassionate guys. We don't have any rooster feathers anymore. There's no ego in this fight. And we're here to help you. And no matter what anyone says about infantry, we're the only ones that are doing this, and they're infantry. There's no one from officers doing this. There's no one from Navy doing this. There's no one from Air Force doing this. There's no one who is from intelligence doing this. It's just
no one's doing it.
Two infantry dudes.
Not in the form that we want to express.
Katie Baker, there she is.
Podcast is the future of media relations anyway, and so that's just the future. So why not?
This becomes your home and away. Okay, so this is what we're going to do, Aaron. We're going to get off now. I'm going to say thank you to everyone here, and thank you for putting up with the corona in the background. It's everywhere now. Thank you for what you do. Thank you for being here. Thank you for the input that you give us here. Thank you for JC. Thank you for the respect that you give this channel, the donations, the support that you give as this gets bigger. That means the platform for you gets bigger, which means your voice becomes louder. It's a fantastic channel. We're in uncharted territory. The wind is in our sails, but we're doing well. Just appreciate everything that you guys are and what you're going to do. And we're going to be here for a long, long time. It's a forever channel. Aaron, I think from now on, where we go for some sort of system where we get a guest speaker on, if that means that when we go on, we forecast who that's going to be, whether it be each person gets 10 minutes, so that becomes a reference where you don't feel exhausted on the phone, where you can be on 10 minutes. Next caller coming in. Okay, JC is now that caller. Next one might be Aaron Mills. The next one might be Lauren. The next one, to have a lady's voice, it might be Madison. Okay, it might be someone who comes to us who volunteers. It might be someone you want to hear their voice. And we'll go across the Dutch and we'll get someone from New Zealand.
We're going to get
JC.
as many as we can possibly get on the podcast as possible.
Yeah.
Senators, the whole kit and kabang.
Yeah, we'll
the
get some
whole
big
lot.
names. And eventually they'll start
We're
talking to
going
us.
to try and get some big names. We are. We're going to try and make this as big as possible and try and do the best that we can with this podcast. And that's a promise.
Josh is going to bed. Boom. Josh, see you later. And with that, okay, the sprinkle of the fairy dust in your eyes. Okay, it's time for us to go. Okay, wait a sec. Hello? Did you want to say good night, darling?
And by the way, my name's Susie. I'm sorry.
That's okay, darling. I love you very much.
It was a very hard choice.
That's okay. Do you know there's a puppy under your bed?
It put me in lots of pressure.
I put you in lots of pressure by deciding to be at Mibby's house or my house.
Yeah.
That's okay, darling. There's no pressure there. You just make a choice, and that's fine. And you know what? Life is full of choices, and there's repercussions for each. It doesn't matter who you go with, as long as you wake up happy, ready for a big day, okay?
Okay.
I love you, little one.
Love you too.
Say good night, everyone.
Good night.
All right, baby. I love you.
Love you too. Bye.
But to serve and protect. Oops. To serve and protect, that's my job. That's what I do. I love my daughter. I love you guys. Take it easy. Have a good night. Hillary Clinton is under your bed. Take it easy, guys and gals. And thank you for tonight. Thank you for everything. Don't panic, but be prepared. All right. See you later.